Season 1, Episode 2.
Masters of Change Show, bringing you real entrepreneurs, real experiences, and real advice, with big inspiration and a whole lot of soul. Whether you're looking to start or grow your business, hack life, or learn personal growth strategies, we are confident you'll hear game-changing ideas and perspectives here. Ready to learn? Always with a big smile, with your host, Barar Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com.
You're listening to part 2 of my interview with Joel Primus.
About how things lead to other things, how things happen, how you have to trust the process. Steve Jobs always talks about, if you look back in your life, you can see how all the dots connect.
Absolutely.
But people have a hard time then taking that same trust and confidence and looking forward in their life. And you know, we get all caught up in moments to say, well, this isn't going to work. Well, this was a waste of time. And I don't believe any of it was. And I think the Sapera magazine was the perfect example because, you know, I started that with this, you know, thinking that I was going to have the coolest little lifestyle magazine. And I worked really hard at it. Yeah. But what it got me, I tried to sell it to the Abbotsford News. I tried to sell it to them, and they didn't buy it, but they gave me a job. They said, we're really impressed with everything that you've put into this. Why don't you come work for us? Okay. And so I was broke. I had, you know, 2 maxed out credit cards and I needed some money. Yeah. So, I took the job, and they were so wonderful. They, you know, I only worked there for a few months because what ended up happening was that in that process is when some investors came on to Naked. But, and the craziest piece about it was my largest investor in my first round of financing was my boss at the News. Okay. So, you know, if I hadn't done Sapera and if I hadn't tried to sell it to them and if I hadn't taken the job, I would have never had him. And he has now since gone on, left the News, started a publishing company, and is publishing the Getting Naked books. So that's the whole circle of it, how it all happens.
Incredible. And I guess all of these things fall into place. They say everything happens for a reason, you know. There's something big behind it. You know, you launched Naked and it's very successful. Now, tell me how many businesses or ideas you thought of and you launched until Naked made it. Because what I found out very interesting about entrepreneurs is not their first idea is the one that makes it to become the big one. They have done so many things at the beginning that actually laid the foundation to the big idea.
Absolutely. That is true. And I think that the thing about entrepreneurs is the big one doesn't mean anything because they're still thinking of the other ones they want to do.
Absolutely.
The ones they want to do afterwards. So, the first business I started was the Project World Citizen, which was the documentary. I guess you want to call it a business, the project. Following that, I started a boot camp. Okay. The ultimate 21-day boot camp. And we made it through two great 3-week camps, made good money. It was working really well. And then that's when I got into Dragon's Den and I said, you know, looks like I'm on the fast track. Sorry, I'm dropping the boot camp. So I also started the magazine. I think I tried to write a book in the middle there somewhere that I thought I was going to sell. Okay. And I remember a publisher reading it and telling me it was literally the worst book they'd ever read in their entire life. So, you know, that was, I guess that makes it 4 businesses that I tried to start alongside Naked, and now there's Naked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. You know, people talk about, I mean, we talked about the foundation and how it laid the foundation, and what you've done before. I'm sure it laid the foundation, taught you the skills, opened up more options, refined the idea of entrepreneurship. So from your perspective, what's a definition of an entrepreneur? What do you call an entrepreneur? What is an entrepreneur?
You know, I go back. That's a tough question to answer. For me, it's a tough question to answer. But I look at my parents. Okay. So my mom was a a fitness entrepreneur. She started a company called Fitness Edge, and her company managed the fitness for Abbotsford, for Maple Ridge, for Mission, for, so on and so forth. And she started this from the ground up, no education. And she was an incredible inspiration to me. She won Woman of the Year, many business excellence awards. And so to me, she was the definition of an entrepreneur. But my father was a musician.
Okay.
And he was desperately trying to make his music heard, and his voice and his energy and his passion heard. And he would produce CDs, and he worked another job on the side to support us. And to me, he was an entrepreneur. I mean, you call him an artist per se, but to me, artists are just as much entrepreneurs as someone who's starting a business. And so I just look at an entrepreneur as someone who says that this is who I am, and this is my dream, and I'm going to make this dream happen.
Absolutely,
and that's it. There's nothing else attached to it for me.
Absolutely incredible, and I guess that's how I see people. You never stop. You know until the last moment, and even if things don't work out, you never stop. You continue on going and going and going and going until you do it. You make it, and even when you're making it, you're thinking about the next big thing. So well, and there is no making it. I mean, we talked a little bit about that at the beginning. That is one of the greatest illusions of the material world, because yes, you can. I think that the true calling of our human essence is to just feel free, to just be free and be who we are and be happy. And none of those things have anything to do with material success, with business success, with achieving your dreams. Absolutely.
I think that we have to, making it to me is being happy. Now, from an entrepreneur standpoint, from a business standpoint, from an artist standpoint, let's say that you never do have that number one record, or let's say that you do, never have that $1 billion business, but you have been able to incorporate your passion into your life in a way that connects with people and inspires people. And I tell this to my dad. I said, my dad is 55, I think, and he just quit his job. He makes good money, and he just quit his job to pursue music full time.
Incredible.
But I said to him, Dad, every great memory I have in my life is listening to you play music, and that has inspired me and has enriched me. So how can you tell me that isn't part of making it?
Right. Because
in my mind, it is making it.
Absolutely.
In my mind, you have made me better through your pursuit. So, it's a tad abstract, but that's sort of the way I look at it.
Absolutely, and I agree with you, Joel. How much luck really got into where you are today?
I remember this question was asked me once on a panel.
Okay.
For UBC Sauder's Business School.
Okay.
And I was the first person to answer it, and then I had one of my fellow panelists who's an awesome entrepreneur in Vancouver, and he completely disagreed with me that I said that there was a little bit of luck. I said that timing and a few different factors played into it, and he said absolutely not. And I have now done a 180 on my opinion, and I don't think luck has anything to do with it. I think that you create your own luck. That luck favors the prepared. That your intentions, the way you use your mind, drives your luck. That you create every perfect and terrible thing that unfolds in front of you. Bad luck or good luck is all created within our thoughts. And so I don't view it in the same way. I think that someone who appears lucky has completely in their mind convinced themselves that that's what they want. So
and they have worked so hard, that luck become an outcome. It doesn't because they were lucky they were able to make it. They went through so much in order to make it that the outcome of it, like a lot of people say, oh, you're lucky you did this, or you're lucky you did. Well, you have no idea what the hell that I went through in order to make it till where I am today. So I think, to me, when people ask me this question, also I have similar answer to you. It's not like I'm lucky I made it. No, I've worked so hard, and luck is just an outcome of it.
There's this great quote. It says, "My heart is at ease knowing that which was meant for me never misses me, and that which misses me was never meant for me." And I think that plays so well into the idea of luck.
Absolutely.
It's coming regardless, right? So
yeah, it will come at the end of the hard work. It's the light, the bright light that show up. So tell me more about. You said a quote, but this is a quote that came out of our conversation. Is there a really strong quote that resonates with you, or a saying that resonates with you and tells who you are as a person?
There's a few. I'm a big quote guy. My mom's a big quote person.
Excellent.
My mom sends me quotes all the time. So, I have one tattooed to my body, so I can read that one. It says, "And so he realizes that who he is already that one. He is already free." And that just means that all the freedom a person seeks is already inside them. That it's only a breath away.
Wow.
And that is a David Diда quote. He's a fantastic author. He writes "The Way of the Superior Man." It is just a transformational book for men who are trying to understand so many different things in their life. And so, for me, that was my message of there is no making it.
Right.
Everything that you want is already here. So to trust that.
Absolutely.
And then another one to that tune that I really liked that my wife showed me one day was a bit about the process. It says, it's from a German poet, and it's, "Be patient towards all that is unresolved in your heart, and try and love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are written in a foreign tongue. Do not seek the answers which cannot be given to you, because you would not be able to live them."
Wow.
And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. And to me, that is just, trust life.
Right.
Trust that the dots will be connected, and don't be so angry that you don't have all the answers right now, because that's part of it. That's part of the joy of and the process of growing.
Absolutely.
So those are two that come to mind. But there's
very powerful. Now, any books you have, name it, any 3 books that you would recommend that people should read them, other than your book that will come in next May 2016.
I wouldn't be so shameless. Self-promote. Oh God, again, so many. There's a few. So recently I just read Thrive by Arianna Huffington.
Okay.
And Thrive is all about the work-life balance. And just meditation and positivity and understanding that we all want to work so hard, but
right.
What is that doing to us? And how can we still achieve the things we want to achieve by having balance? And this really hit me with my daughter and how much I'm on my phone and how much I'm doing emails and thinking, what, Naked could be $1 billion company, and what the hell would it matter if my daughter didn't grow up with a present father?
Amazing.
And so, Thrive is about finding the ability to be present, not just for my daughter, for my amazing wife who supports me, and she deserves my presence
right.
and my attention. So Thrive is sort of about that, and I think it's fantastic. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen is, to me, the most important book written on the law of attraction.
Okay.
It's a bit older. I think it's the late 1800s or the early 1900s. So I think it's beautifully written. It's probably not as structured with how-tos and different things like that, like The Secret and some of the Wayne Dyer stuff that's out now. But I'm a big law of attraction guy, and that book to me is just it in its purest sense, and it's really been a big part of my life. And I mentioned The Way of the Superior Man, so I guess that means I get one more.
If there is more that you think would, transformation is something incredible in the life of a person, and sometimes the books you read and the knowledge you are in, you gather, it makes you who you are and makes you a better person.
Yeah. Well, anything David Died is good. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius is a great book, and that is not about meditating. That is Meditations. It's his sort of cumulative work on philosophy, and he has got some great insights into the world, and I think that's a real powerful book as well. So there's plenty more, but those are the three that popped into my mind.
Thank you so much for sharing those. And we'll have links for the audience to actually look into these books and read them.
Great.
Just because it's easier for a person to really click and makes it easier to get the book.
Of course.
I wanted to know, Joel, some of the advices you would give to entrepreneurs who want to launch their businesses and they start with nothing, and how would they be able, what they should be avoiding, what they should be doing. So if you can talk a little bit about this, maybe what they should be avoiding at the beginning and in the middle, and sometimes when they are close to it.
God, can they give me that advice? I still need it. I'll answer that two ways. Because that's the number one question that gets asked to me whenever I speak to a business school, and they say, I want to start a business, Joel. Tell me what I should do. And they say, I know I should do something that I'm passionate about. And I say, that's true. That's not wrong, but finding what you're passionate about can also come just by living your life. And it doesn't have to necessarily mean that, I love baking cookies, so I need to monetize that into a business. No, for me, Naked fell out of a journey where I opened myself up to all kinds of things. Hitchhiking, I thought I wanted to be a writer. Then I thought I wanted to be a travel filmmaker. And Naked fell into my lap. And I was still trying to start other things. And I liken it to having a child. You don't know that you love your child so deeply until you've had it. Until you've had it, it doesn't exist. And I think a business can be the same way. I think that you can find incredible deep passion in a business that isn't necessarily a hobby that you think you need to monetize. So that's sort of my first advice, is again going back to that the German poet's quote of just trusting the process and not being afraid to live a little bit and see what falls into your lap and experiment with that. And so that's my first piece of advice. The second piece of advice I give to entrepreneurs is to not be in a rush. I was in a rush. I just wanted to make it happen so bad, and you can't lose that fire. Right. But it's all going to happen, and it's all going to unfold, and there's no point in letting yourself get overwhelmed by needing it to happen right away. And I think that some of the people who inspire me most are the ones who just really seem to trust that process. And I think that bad decisions in business come from being rushed. I had greed in my eyes. And so bad decisions come from greed and wanting things faster. So I think that if you're a little bit slower, you can make smarter decisions, but you also have to accept that you're definitely not going to make all the right decisions in your first business or any business that you do. And your real skill that you need to develop as an entrepreneur is adaptability. You have to be able to adapt to the different things that you've done and to the bad things that you've done. I took a company public long before it ever should have been public. And And it created a world of pain for me, but it also created a world of opportunity. You know,
Absolutely.
what's that famous? I think it's the Lincoln quote. You can be upset that the rose bushes have thorns, or you can rejoice that the thorn bushes have roses. And so you have to look at the positives. And if it wasn't for being public, despite all its pain and financial drain to my young company, and probably delayed the success of the progress of the actual brand itself,
Absolutely.
introduced me to hundreds of incredible investment bankers that inevitably led me to Carol.
Correct.
Now, you know, Carol didn't love that I was public either, but I would not have met her if I wasn't. And so you always have to look at your path and say, this is where we are.
Absolutely.
And we're going to deal with it, and we're going to work with it. And so that's sort of the middle piece of the puzzle, is that adaptability and being open to that, and not being afraid of it. And I think, you know, beyond that is oh God, work hard. Like every entrepreneur knows how to do already. You have to, there's this saying that, you know, nobody's going to do it for you. Correct. You have to sell the dream out of your own car.
Absolutely.
You know, they always joke about traveling salesmen who have all the stuff in their own car. Well, that's they are doing it themselves, because nobody's going to sell that stuff for them. And that's the same for an entrepreneur and their dream. They have to be willing to go to bat for it over and over and over again, because not one other person is going to do that for them until the company is beyond needing it. So,
that's right.
So those are my. I don't know if I directly answered your question.
Yeah, some of the ideas. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about, like, let's say you take an idea from something. I mean, you mentioned something that you don't have to be passionate about, or about something in order to make it. How do you take this concept from an idea to a real product that you can launch in the market?
The first thing you do is you ask as many questions as you can to yourself, to the people around you, to gather as much information as you possibly can, because that's how you arm yourself.
Right.
And not being afraid of the answers. If you want to do it, and there's indications that, you know, maybe it'll be hard, or maybe you shouldn't, that shouldn't sway you if you genuinely want to do it. But I think that's, and I think that you also have to, we had this old motto at Naked, which was just ship. In other words, you just get it out the door and let the customer decide if it was right or wrong. And that sometimes bit us in the ass, but
absolutely.
But also it progressed us. And as an entrepreneur who wants to get something started, you just have to start it. There is no perfect start date. There is no right amount of pieces in a row to get something off the ground. You know, there's no magical equation. Investors are going to look and say, well, you don't have sales, or they're going to say, you know, some investors will look at it and say, you don't have sales. Why am I going to invest in you? And some will be true venture and just invest in your idea. But most of the time they like to see that progress. They like to see that you've put yourself out there. You've put some skin in the game before they start to get behind you.
Absolutely. And I guess you, from the experience and what you said, you're one of those people that I'm sure you heard so many no's until you get into yes. So tell me approximately how many no's did you get? How many no's did you get until you got one yes?
Well, I think I've pitched over 2,000 investors. Wow. And I might have a few hundred that I've met in person, and that's just the people I've actually physically pitched. That's not everybody I had to talk to get to those people. So, you know, it's a bit of a process, and you're always pitching. You always have to be evangelical about what it is that you're trying to do. Because it takes a long time.
Absolutely, and it's not important to take the feedback you've given and try to make it better for the next presentation, but not just because the first 100 people said, no, you should stop. Well, sometimes you got to think about what you have, but
you always have to self-assess, and you have to look and how can I tweak and how can I improve, or am I talking to the right people?
Right.
That's right. Because I think that's a big misconception that I went through. If you're pitching an idea that's for a microcap stock, well, you can't pitch it to people who don't understand microcap stocks, because they just doesn't work. Absolutely. Right? You ruin your probability of success.
Absolutely. And I remember this with a person saying, you go to invest to go into, because I know in Vancouver it's a lot of tech startups start to happen, but before that people say we don't get investors because nobody understand the technology investment. People, invest in real estate or something that has a proven market, that something that they see, they've seen it for many years. But for a new industry, it's not an industry that you are in. A product placement that you had is very interesting, because you had incredible product, because there were nothing in the market similar to it, or maybe one or two, and you had to bring it to people who should understand that the concept, the industry of the fashion, the garment industry, as well as there is a need in the market.
But believe me, talking about men's underwear was not the easiest thing to convince people of. But the right ones did get it, and it wasn't just men's underwear. This was always viewed as a global lifestyle brand. This was always packaged as men's and women's underwear that's going to do activewear, that's going to do swim, that's going to do loungewear. And so we sold a very big picture. Underwear was the first piece of that puzzle. And so, people did see the big dream, and, we were beneficiaries of the fact that Lululemon was a monstrous success and Under Armour was a monstrous success. And so people, well, how do I get a part of the next big apparel thing?
Correct.
And so, fortunately for us, their success paved the way for investors who would otherwise never even considered an apparel, let alone underwear type of investment, to start considering it as a viable opportunity. So again, everything happens for a reason, and that was a big benefit to us.
Excellent. What are the 3 things that you would take to an investor presentation? Just 3 important things you should prepare and take with you.
Well, there's one of my IR investor relations strategist always tells me, no matter what, go through the presentation. In other words, bring the presentation and go through it. Don't assume that they don't want to hear it. Don't assume that they only have 5 minutes and you have to just give them the quick sell, the elevator pitch, whatever. Always bring the presentation, and always try and go through the presentation, because that's how you give yourself the opportunity to ensure that they hear something they want to hear. And I've done a lot of off the cuff pitches that I've had some success with that, but by and large, he is right. By and large, the better pitches are the ones where you take the time and you force that potential investor to listen to you and go through that whole presentation. So that's my first piece of advice there. The second piece of advice is to look them in the eyes and be very sincere and humble, but confident in your eye contact that you are going to do what you say you're going to do. Not in the sense that you're going to guarantee that it's successful, because that's impossible. But what you're going to prove to them is you're going to guarantee that you're going to work your ass off, and they can tell. A good venture capitalist, a good investor, can look somebody in the eyes and trust that person is going to do everything they can to see that investment through. So, but confidence is important, but humility is equally important in that equation for me. And 3 is, I'd love to say, dress in a suit and tie or something like that, but I from what I've seen, that is important, but it's know your audience is more important. Know who you're pitching and what. I've pitched in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and everyone's dressed one way. I've pitched in Wall Street and everyone's dressed another way.
Absolutely.
I've pitched in LA and everyone's dressed another way. So you just have to know your audience is key. Trying any piece of information that you can get about who you're about to pitch, whether it's something to talk about or just trying to understand them a little bit better is key. Amazing.
Thank you. So connection with the audience. And I know this from my background in music. It doesn't matter what you do, what you sing, what you do. The most important thing are the audience, and you're entertaining the audience. It doesn't matter what preparation. Let go and be present.
Absolutely. And, Michael Jackson always says that there's this, for his last tour and his, unfortunately the one where he passed away on, there was a scene in the documentary, This Is It. And he's telling his dancers, at the end, they're all holding hands and talking. He's like, you have to love your audience. You have to give them all your love and all your energy, and every part of you, because that's what they'll connect with. Correct. They're going to connect with your energy and you. Everything else is just the entertainment, the fluff. So that's why bad singers can be great performers, because it's about the energy and the connection with the audience.
Absolutely.
So that's a great point you bring up.
Yeah, I've seen it, and the many performers I talk to, everybody say it's all about the audience, the person in front of you. It doesn't matter what you say if they don't make them feel special. You will always lose them. You would never connect with them, because you need to treat them very special and be there. And as you said, sincere in everything, that you're not there just to come and being able to get the money from them, because it's one thing show. But when you're sincere and you do that, it's such an incredible progress. It adds a different dimension to who you are and how they can help you.
Of course, yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So Joel, let's talk a little bit also about. People say, you've very successful. You've grown a company, multi-million-dollar company, and it took you a lot of skill set. You learned so many and gathered so much knowledge on the way. And people think, once you made it to the $1 million, company, that's it. But the reality is, it's not. So you're continuing to improve every day the company. So tell me, what do you see Naked is moving to, and what are the challenges facing you as an entrepreneur? Just given a perspective that it's not because you made it big, it means that's it.
Yeah, we haven't made it big, but I appreciate that. Fake it till you make it, right?
Absolutely.
The challenges for growth companies are always capital. Always. I don't know a single startup that is not its challenge, and that's not a bad thing. For a growing, emerging company to churn through capital, and for investors to look at that and say, they're wasting their money. Absolutely not. If you go back and you look at, I don't have an exact number, but so many of the great success stories, there is investment and there is mistakes and there's all kinds of things in it. So that's going to continue to be, part of our growth is we're going to have to raise money and invest it wisely and try and grow as best we can. But that's not going to stop until you are, you've crossed the chasm. And you are now on the other side of it. And this is so true of apparel companies. It's true of tech companies. They don't even have to be profitable for the longest times.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily, if you're a mom and pop shop and you have your own family business. Yeah, that's a little different. That is, that you have to make profitable. But in these types of sort of ambitious startups, I should say all businesses strive to be profitable, but the young ones will take investment after investment to get there, and that's just a fact of life. I think I'm trying to think of all the things our auditors say when they put together our going concern of what people need to be concerned about when they see our company. Yeah. For us, there's a lot of competition in the market, and a lot of people are trying to do exactly what we tried to do. And so for us, we have to evolve into and seize that microphone and say to people this is who we are and this is why we're so important, and get them into our tribe. And it's tough to seize that microphone when you are in a bit of a crowded space, you know, so that remains, it doesn't remain a concern, because the flip side to that, the benefit to that is education. So, you know, the more educated the male customers, I'll use that as an example, on wearing better underwear, more expensive underwear, which we make, the better it is for us. Even if there's competitors who are, you know, taking some of that business, there's so much business to be had.
Right.
But the better educated the general consumer is about it, you know, the better chance we have. It's just like, you know, how come so many people now wear different types of yoga wear, not just Lululemons? Because Lululemon created this new category that now everybody wants. So we, you know, that remains a concern, but we try and look at it positively and say, not that we have a great growing market that we're going to tap into.
Brilliant.
And I think the last piece of it, that, you know, that's a little bit abstract too, is that I everything that we do at Naked is not just about creating a product. And it's not just about making money. It's about giving people an experience that they really feel good about, that makes them feel better, that makes them inspired by our products, by our message. And I want that to be so perfect all the time. And I want them to understand it. And when a customer doesn't understand it, that's the thing that gets me. Oh no, I haven't. It hasn't resonated. How do I help it resonate? And that's something that, you know, you get a bit insecure about at times. Is, you know, am I doing the right things? Are we doing the right things to make people connect with our message?
Right.
And that message is the freedom to be yourself. Absolutely. Naked is about the freedom to be yourself. Absolutely. And so it's a bit of a lofty ideal, some people tell us, but you have to do what you believe in. And to me, underwear and Naked, the brand and the products we make is purely the vehicle to this bigger and more important message of the freedom to be yourself, and giving people the products that help them feel that. So incredible message.
Yeah. And the brand represents what you really stand for, and I guess that's what you stand for. I mean, knowing you personally, that's why I know what you stand for. The audience don't know you; they will know you after this. But knowing you as a person is just an incredible person, and very, very humble, and that's what I admire about you. Ever since I saw you for the first time.
Thank you again, bro.
Oh, my pleasure. So, you know, I want to know, when we're kind of getting too close to the end of the show, I wanted you to tell the audience where they can find more information about Naked, about you personally, if they want to follow you. So let's talk a little bit about your company, where they can find more information, and about you person, how they can follow you.
So I will be a shameless promoter now, and I will I will tell them. So if you are interested in trying our amazing products, you can, if you're in Canada, the Hudson's Bay company, thebay.com, has the products. Holt Renfrew has the products. We also sell at thenakedshop.com. That's thenakedshop.com. In the United States, Nordstrom's is our biggest vendor, which also have a few stores in Canada now. And then there's a handful of mom and pop boutiques around Canada as well that have the products. So, but really thenakedshop.com is where all our stuff lives, and it's a great place to shop for it. And then personally, you know, I have a blog called theprimusblog.net, and there I try and document, you know, some of my thoughts about business, but more about my journey here, a lot of travel. What I mean by here is my journey in New York, and I have some amazing guest bloggers. Kenny Meir, holistic trainer, is on there under a section called Sweat. So he gives all kinds of great nutrition and training advice. Brilliant. Travis McLaren is a phenomenal individual. Someone, bro, you should have on your show. He's a flotologist. Is a Reiki specialist, very much a guru of meditation, and he writes a meditation blog on my blog. And then my father actually writes an environmental a blog as well called Green. So there's a lot of good stuff on there. By no means is it the Huffington Post or anything like that, but it's all people's personal experiences and opinions, and I think some really great topics. So primusblog.net is also something you should check out.
Brilliant. I'll get the audience. We'll put the link on the bottom. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
Now, before we end, I wanted to, if you can share one last word of advice and wisdom, and if you have a tip for anybody who is starting a business or growing their business, what would you tell them?
One last word of wisdom. I've exhausted everything I know. No, that's it. There's nothing left. Let me think. So, my tip is to anybody is to be fearless, to be optimistic, to ask questions, to understand that there's no such thing as a truly bad idea. There's just people who can't see it the same way you can see it. So trust yourself. Trust that feeling inside you about what it is that you want to do, and do not be afraid to take it as far as you want to take it. So that's my tip and my advice for entrepreneurs is that I've had a lot of experiences in my life where I've looked back and realized that if I just listened to what my gut was telling me, I would have made the right decision. But for all those things, those outside circumstances that pressure us into not listening to ourselves, and then we can regret it. And I don't have regrets per se, but I have so many moments where I know that I was given the right answer and I didn't listen to it. So really do trust that. And that's something I have to work on every single day because it's scary as hell to do. But if you do it, I think you will find the flow of your life, the flow of your business, the flow of your relationships just happens so much better. Absolutely. So much more seamless.
Thank you for sharing this. So, my friend, thank you so much for spending all this time and sharing your brilliant story. I congratulate you all the time about your successes, and you're such a humble and successful icon and person. And I'm glad that we were able to do this, where the audience can really listen and learn from you, and being able to approach you and see you in real life and learn from your experiences. You had such an incredible experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining in. Lastly, I want to say congratulations in advance to Joel, because he's going to become a father for a second baby as of maybe tomorrow or the day
maybe
after.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so by
we're
this
we're 3 minutes from midnight, so he's due now
in New York. So might be the wife. We wish you, everybody wish you and your wife a very successful and I'm sure it's going to be all right, and you'll have a beautiful second baby by the time the audience will hear this. So lots of prayers.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And
thank you. It was a real privilege to be on your show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Joel, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will be with you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening, and have yourself a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
To listen to more episodes, please visit our website at www.mastersofchangeshow.com. And please subscribe to the show using the iTunes. I would appreciate if you can like our page on Facebook under Masters of Change Show. If you think that this message can be beneficial to someone that you know, please feel free to share it with everyone. On Facebook, we will have an engagement community where we can ask questions and get answered. And if you have a guest or someone that you think will benefit from this show or can be on this show as a guest, please feel free to let us know. We look forward for you to listen to more of the episodes. Meanwhile, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Masters of Change Show, bringing you the most unique, brilliant, and inspiring entrepreneurs who will share their expertise to help you start and grow your business or inspire you to follow your passion and live your dreams. With your host and a big smile, Barar Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com.